Hello. So we are at a garden that was planted back in 2021, and we're now in 2025. So we kind of wanted to walk through, what's going well and kind of what we have here. So first, right in front of me, we have our butterfly weed. Now, this year, we've really been noticing kind of a low turnout of monarch butterflies. We were kind of prepared for that based on some of the different metrics that were gathered in Mexico, but it's always kind of disappointing to actually see it play out right in front of you. Now, all is not lost. We're still supporting our local bees. We're supporting our local pollinators, but obviously the joy of butterfly weed is the monarchs, and that's really why we need to keep planting not just butterfly weed, but some of these other plants we have around us. For example, over here we have this garden phlox, and this is a great plant. You can see again, it's been about 4 years since this was planted, so it's really filling in nicely. Um, and that's something you can really expect from a garden. It's going to take several years before it fills in and really starts to kind of fill its own. All right, next, we're going to talk here about the black-eyed Susan. You can kind of see it's doing really well at the moment, but it could use a little bit of water. And that's just kind of the reality of these plants. They're drought tolerant. That doesn't mean they necessarily enjoy it. Now, what's great is you can just come out and water it. And if you're coming out daily to check on your plants, you're able to catch these kinds of things and intervene. Now, as you can see next to me, this is actually a registered Monarch Waystation. So the goal here is to support the monarch butterflies primarily. But what's great about supporting monarchs is you're not just supporting monarchs. You can actually support other things around you. Behind me, we have our common milkweed, which again, with this being a monarch waystation, is really the best plant you can plant. Now, it's not exactly the prettiest plant. As you can notice, it is kind of filling that weed name, but there's kind of a certain attraction to it as well. It's a fun plant that's a little bit different. Here you can see that the pods are gathering. They're preparing to let out their seeds. Now, we're getting towards July, and July is a great time to actually cut them down by half. And kind of what we found is when you cut them by half in July, they actually become more attractive to what monarchs do kind of come through later in the season. So that'd be something I would recommend if you do pursue common milkweed in your own yard. And back here we have our oxeye sunflowers. Now, these are wonderful plants if you have space for them. As you can see, they get pretty tall. I'm 5'11", and they're right about my height. They also tend to spread pretty aggressively, which is fantastic if you have a lot of room to give them. They're just about to bloom, as you can see. They're budding now. And these are great little plants just for the back of your garden beds. They have just tons of blooms that take up a good amount of area. They are a fantastic plant if you can give them the space. Kind of finally here, we're going to talk about a plant that has flowered and now it's kind of getting into the seed stage. And this is really where you have a critical decision to make as a homeowner, as someone who's providing habitat. Because this to me is not unattractive. Other people will disagree. So you get to decide, do I want to leave these seeds to, spread this plant to provide food for birds, um, or do I want to make it look more tidy and kind of make it something that is both attractive to wildlife and to our neighbors? And so for us, we have the benefit of this being kind of in the backyard. It's kind of in a back corner where neighbors don't see it. So we really want it to support the local wildlife, so we're letting it go. But that is kind of a decision that you get to make as you fill out your garden. So next what we're going to talk about is this bird bath and the log we have decaying here. So it's really critical if you're planting to support your pollinators, if you're planting specifically for monarchs, they need water. And so a bird bath with some rocks in it so that if anything falls in, it doesn't drown is a fantastic way to provide water to the pollinators. In addition, your bees specifically and kind of other bugs need shelter. And so decaying logs are actually perfect for those pollinators. And kind of, especially in our suburban yards, we're always trying to tidy, we're trying to remove all of these things. And so we're actually taking away that vital habitat. So anywhere you can put that and make it a feature is very valuable. In front of me, I've got some rue. This is not culinary rue. Don't eat this. That would be very bad. But black or swallowtail butterflies absolutely love this stuff. And swallowtails, they don't kind of get the credit that monarch does, but they are still a really fun butterfly that's really fun to invite into your yard. So as you can see back here, it's about 21 feet wide by about 9 feet deep. So that gives us about 200 square feet of planting area. As you can tell, it's very full after the multiple years of growing, 4 years to be exact, but there's still more that we can add to it. That's kind of the fun of a garden is year after year, it can change, it can grow, you can kind of fill it in how you see fit. And it doesn't have to be something that you kind of plant once and it's just that way forever. You kind of get to play with it throughout the years. So here you can see an anise hyssop that we planted. And I just want to play find the pollinator for a moment. There's two big bumblebees that are quite obvious, but then if you just pay attention, there's so many tiny little bees, little native bees that are buzzing around as well. Now, you'll hear a lot that we need to save the bees, and obviously everybody thinks immediately about the honeybees. What you need to understand about honeybees is that a honeybee is essentially a milk cow. The honeybees are fine because there are people taking care of them. What we're really talking about when we're saying we need to save the bees are all of these little native bees here. And that includes the bumble, just to be clear. These are all the bees that are not being specifically taken care of, farmed, and just really need our support. They need these native plants. So not everyone has the benefit of 3 acres that they can keep bees on, but here we do have that opportunity, so you can see that we're taking advantage of it. Now this is kind of the best case scenario because these are not actually, our bees. They're actually someone else's that we're letting them kind of use our area. So we kind of get the best of all worlds. We get to support the honeybees, we get to benefit from their honey, and we don't really have to take care of them, which is really ideal. Now, as you can see, they're incredibly active. We're standing off to the side because they get a little bit upset when you get too close to their hives. But what's really fun when you kind of do stuff like this is you get to actually support these bees and have your plantings really actually create something that you can tangibly benefit from. It's great to have the abstract idea of you're supporting your environment. It's even more fun to actually get to enjoy the honey that's produced because of the things that